Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and I'm going to be looking at the Bizon T-103. Now this is a skinned version of the T-130, which I'm assuming we're probably going to get a clean version of at some point. We usually do. It's a tier 8 Russian TD, and what makes it kind of unusual is it's big, very big, but that's not what makes it unusual. It's a turreted TD, and it's actually Russia's first and only turreted TD in the game. So that does make it a little bit different. All the other ones are obviously fixed gun. So the hull, you might be thinking, looks familiar. It is. It's from the box tank, the SU-100Y, and it's actually the hull from the T-100, which was a tank that was developed by the Soviets in the late 30s, I think it was, but it was never actually put into production. It was there was the T-100 and the SMK, I think it was, both sort of designed and sort of prototypes built at the same time. They went against one another. Both had double turrets. The T-100 had both had sort of a frontal turret where the machine gun ones are on this one, and a main turret, but in the end basically a single turreted version of the SMK went into production as the KV-1, so there you go. So yeah, T-100 hull, same as the box tank, the tier 6 premium TD, and like the tier 6 premium TD, this has a 130mm gun, obviously a bit different to that one. That one I think is the B13S2, this is just the B13, which I believe was a naval gun at the time, so they basically stuck a naval gun on this, and it's sort of a development of a TD, like I say, based on the T-100. Never went into production and never even had a prototype, never got past the blueprint stage. So price wise, it's in the store, it's fairly expensive at the minute. It's just over 14,000 gold, which is a hell of a lot. This one, as you may notice, is actually mine. This is my account, this is my tank. I'd put a bit of gold on one side for a bundle, the Mutts and the Scorpion G, but I missed the bundle, and then this came along and it looked really interesting, and I took the plunge, and it's the first one I've bought for a long time. In fact, I think possibly since the Patriot and the Defender. And I really like it. I do like it. It's got a decent, strong turret. The hull is weak as crap. But it's got surprising mobility as well for a tank of this size. I really didn't expect it to be as mobile as it is, but the turret is quite nice. We'll get onto that. Quick note about the skin, I quite like it. I know people, some people won't like it. They didn't like the barbed wire and what have you on the Centennial when that came out. But yeah, I kind of like what they've done with it. And the sandbags on this do act as spaced armour, so those sandbags along the side and all along the front there, they do act as spaced armour, which is, well, we've had a couple of tanks recently that have had sandbags that don't act as spaced armour, but yeah, these do. So, gun-wise, I'm going to talk a little bit about the gun. Let's just go into the stats and have a look. But yeah, like I said, I do like this. It's got a 900 horsepower engine, which gives it a fairly decent power-to-weight ratio. As I said, surprising for a tank of its size. I didn't expect it to be as quick as it is. 130mm B13, as I said before, and I expected it to perform very similar, if not almost the same, as the 130mm on the ISU 130. It kind of makes sense. Both tier 8 TDs, both have 130mm guns. But it doesn't. In fact, it's actually performance-wise as near as damn it to the 100. I think it's 122mm possibly. But the gun on the SU-101, which can have 100mm, I'm sure it's a 122. But yeah, near as damn it performs the same as that one. So you get a rate of fire of 4.96 rounds a minute. I will throw in the ISU sort of comparison a little bit as well, just to give you an idea. But I'll do that in a moment. So I mean, against the SU-101, as near as damn it the same rate of fire. The SU-101 gets 5 rounds a minute. This is 4.96. So very, very, very close, as you'll agree. Both this and the SU-101, which is one of the Tech Tree Russian TDs, both get 258mm of pen, which is really nice pen, and 440 damage. Now, this is where there is a bit of a difference. The SU-101 actually gets 33mm more. I think it's 340mm of pen on its premium ammo. Still 440 damage. This only gets 307. So, there is that. It is good enough in tier 10, just. 307. I know it sounds a lot, but sometimes in tier 10 it is not. But it is just about good enough in tier 10. You might still have to aim for the odd weak spot in there, but it's workable. 65 on your HE. I think the SU-101 gets 68, but this gets 580 pen for its HE. The SU-101 only gets 530. So, you know, swings and roundabouts with that one. This, however, does get a better aiming time, 2.3 seconds as opposed to 3.1, and a pretty decent accuracy as well at 0.36, which is, well, the SU-101 gets 0.37. So, yeah, it kind of performs very similar to the gun on that. And the SU-101, you know, it's got a fairly nice gun on it. When you compare this to the 130mm on the ISU-130, that does perform quite differently. That has 490 damage, has a better rate of fire at 5.83 rounds a minute, but only has 215mm of penetration, and its premium rounds actually work similar to the premium rounds on the box tank, where they have a lower pen, 187, but a higher damage at 640. So that is the difference between that one. And aiming time and accuracy, well, that has a slightly better aiming time, this has slightly better accuracy. So again, kind of swings and roundabouts with that one. But personally, I prefer this, even though the hull is weaker than the sort of overall hull on the 130. The turret on this is a lot stronger. No, we still want to be in there. Yeah, I know it is. Press the wrong button. There we go. So, traverse speed, 30 degrees on the hull. Quite nice, actually. Again, surprising. Didn't quite expect it to be as mobile as that with the turning. Traverse speed on the turret is to be expected. It's a TD, it's only 15 degrees a second, which is quite slow, but you couple it with the hull, get your hull turning. If you need to, if you're close up and something's circling you or whatever, then you can get your turret round using your hull as well. 380 meter view range, which is I think about average for a tier 8 TD, if I remember rightly. I'm not overly familiar with a lot of TDs, so that's something I'll sort of have to check into, so do take that with a pinch of salt. And a signal range of 730 meters. Now, what was that? I've just completely had a brain fart and lost what I was saying. So, yeah. Equipment-wise, well, you see, I don't know. I mean, I've gone for a pretty standard setup there. I've been very boring. I've gone for a gun lane drive. I've gone for a gun ram. You can't put a vertical stabilizer on this. And I've also gone for coated optics. Now, a lot of you might be tempted with it being a TD. I mean, this is just my equipment setup. You can put whatever equipment you want on it. Some people might go for camo net and binoculars. The camo rating on this, as you would expect, because it's bloody massive, is appalling. It's absolutely terrible. Oh, and you can put camouflage on this, by the way. That is my camo on there. So yeah, the reason I've gone for that setup is because in tier 8 matches you can kind of play this as a heavy, and I kind of have been doing a little bit in tier 8 matches, playing it like a heavy. You've got to be very careful with your hull, try and keep it hidden, but if you can get this thing hull down, it's very strong and kind of reminds me of the T-29 or other American heavies in a lot of ways, because it does have a very strong turret. You do have that big weak spot, that machine gun cupola on top. That is your sort of weak spot, but yeah, you can get this hull down. It is a very strong turret. Skill wise on the crew, do you know, I don't even know where this crew came from. I had it in one of my premium TDs and I cannot find the tank, the Tech Tree tank that it's come from. So yeah, that's probably when you know you've got too many tanks, when you can't figure out which Tech Tree tank your crew came from, so God knows. But to be honest, for this sort of tank, yeah, 6th sense, repairs, yeah, definitely situational awareness. Brothers in Arms always good on a tank, and I cannot think what that last one is. No, can't think what that last skill is. Don't know why that's on here. But I've actually swapped. I did have camo training on them. That's going to bug me if I don't find out what that one is now. Smooth ride. Why have I got smooth ride on it? Oh well. Anyway, regardless. Yeah, not smooth ride. Yeah, I don't know why that's on there. It could be from a light tank. This crew, I really don't know. But anyway, I did have camo training up, but I've actually swapped it for pain tolerance. Something I did notice about this. For some reason, your loader seems to fall unconscious when a stiff breeze hits the tank. So yeah, I did swap it for pain tolerance. after the first couple of matches. And even though it's not fully trained yet, it is a skill rather than a perk, so it becomes more effective, and the more it trains. And since I've swapped it for that, I've not had my loader knocked out. I don't think. But yeah, like the first couple of matches, he was knocked out in both matches. So I don't know what it was. Just the loader seems to be a weak constitution. But anyway, yeah. So skill-wise, I don't know. I mean, that's what I've gone for on it. It's a TD at the end of the day, so you can give it a more standard sort of TD setup if you want. But apart from smooth ride, I'd say that's a pretty good basis to start this. I'd say you probably do want repairs on it. Clutch braking, I don't know. Clutch braking's alright. Its ground resistances aren't too bad, so it's just a pretty nice tank, and it can be a top tier beast. And as I said, you can kind of play it like a heavy top tier, but tier 9 matches, you start to play a bit more like a traditional TD. But getting hull down is the key to this. Definitely getting hull down. It is a very, well, you're going to see in a moment, it's a very strong hull down tank. But the actual hull itself is very, very weak. So yeah, you've got to try and hide that as best as possible. So 900 horsepower engine, as I mentioned before, gives you a power to weight ratio of 14.29. Pleasantly surprised. I expect it to be less than that. Heavily armoured turret, big tank. I did expect it to be a bit less mobile. 40 km/h top speed, so it can get going quite nicely across the battlefield. Only 12 in reverse and a 15% chance of fire. You do have very large engine space. Very large engine to hit. I don't think I've been set on fire yet, but preventative maintenance might be an idea, because as you can see, there is a lot of engine to hit there. Concealment, as I said before, is awful. 0.08 stationary and 0.05 on the move. It is massive. You can spot this thing from space, so yeah, you're not going to stay hidden for long in it. I mean, I suppose that's why I've put coated optics on it, so I can see at least when I'm moving. Situational awareness as well. I might even stick some premium food on this as well, combat rations or whatever it is, to help out with the view distance, but I'm not 100% yet. 1250 hit points, by the way. Now, gun. Nice, surprisingly nice gun depression at -8 degrees, which does help, keeping it hull down sometimes as well. So yeah, really, again, pleasantly surprised by that. 30 degrees of elevation, so yeah, not a problem if something gets above you. You're really not going to struggle there. Accuracy while you're moving, 0.59, not too bad. And accuracy on rotating turret, 0.49, which is pretty nice as well. So yeah, quite happy with that. That's not much worse, really. If you think about it, it's not much worse than the sort of stationary 100-meter accuracy of 0.36. And there are Soviet tanks out there that have probably got an accuracy of nearly that anyway, and that's when they're sat still, not doing anything at 100 meters. So yeah, not too bad there. Ground resistances, as I said, not too bad. Quite nice. Could be better, could be worse. They're just, they're alright, workable. 1.3, 1.4 and 2.5. Turrets on top. Radio is just there on the right hand side. I don't know anybody that wants to take out the radio. This is what people are interested in, ammunition locations, because obviously you want to try and blow the top off one of these things. So the whole back of the turret, that bustle there, is packed full of ammunition, so go for that point. Also, just behind the sandbags, below the rear of the turret, the rear of the turret ring, should I say, and then down in the whole floor, although that is surrounded by engine, that ammunition block there in the middle. So that one's probably going to be harder to get to. Crew members, you've got the driver down in the front centre hull, and then up in the turret you've got the commander, gunner, loader, and probably radio operator or second loader. Probably doubles up as both. Armour wise, well, as you can see, turret front is quite nice. It's quite rounded as well to the sides. A little bit flat top to bottom, although it does have a slight curve to it. But it is quite rounded sort of side to side, and it's quite tough at the front with a very nice tough gun mantle. The hull, as you can see, is the opposite and quite weak and pathetic. Really, for a tier 8, I mean, it's not great. It's not a great hull on the tier 6 box tank. It's a pretty poor hull on this, but overall, as I said, you play it properly, you keep that hidden, you can do quite well in this tank. But yeah, armour figures, the actual armour figures, let's have a look. So we're looking at hull armour. That's a joke. 100mm on the front, 100mm on the sides, and 60 on the rear. Yeah, not really. And then the turret armour, 220 on the front, 145 on the side, and 60 on the rear. Yeah, these armour figures do make me laugh sometimes. It's like, you know, they'll claim 100mm and it'll be, you know, a piece of armour on the front the size of a 50p piece. And that'll be it, and that's the 100mm. But anyway, let's have a proper look. I mean, the hull-wise, to be honest, you can kind of hit this more or less anywhere in the hull, and you're probably going to pen it most stuff that comes up against it, to be fair. And as I said before, if one of these is hull down, your best chance is that machine gun cupola on top. So if you're in one of these, try and keep it moving. Don't just sit still. Don't give them an easy target. So do keep moving backwards and forwards. Going against them, you know, hull down, that's the spot that you want to go for. It is quite weak. It's fairly large. So if they do sit still and give you that opportunity, punish them for it. Right, 1 to 21mm. Tracks fall into that. Don't forget they do act as spaced armour. As I said before, the sandbags on the front you can see there do act as spaced armour. They do fall into that bracket, and the ones on the back as well. 21 to 30 is top of your turret, top decks. You know, just top of the hull and the mini turrets. 31 to 51, top ring around that machine gun turret. In fact, all the machine gun turrets. The upper and lower glacis. Lower glacis is particularly weak, and the entire hull floor. Upper glacis, you know, that's quite weak as well. But it does have a very good slope to it, and it does have the sandbags in front of it. 51 to 71 are the mini turrets, the machine gun turrets. The rear of your turret there, as well as those box section of the hull that stick out, and the rear of the tank. So again, the rear of this, as with most tanks, is quite easy to pen. 71 to 91 is the welded plate over the joint of your upper and lower glacis, so it does provide a little bit more protection. It does have very nice angling to it, but generally, you know, most people are only going to hit that if they're unfortunate, you know, if their shot goes off or they're just not aiming properly. Most will probably try and just go straight through the sandbags, which will generally then hit that plate that you can just see there, if I can get it angle right, there you are, which is the plate that your driver's viewport is in. So that is basically, that's your 100mm on the front. That plate there, it's not got a great angle to it. It does have an angle, but it's not brilliant, and yeah, it can be penned pretty easily. I think I might have bounced the odd one off my hull, and I've had the odd one eaten up by the sandbag so far. Nothing spectacular, but it, you know, it's always welcome when it does happen. The side of the hulls, the side of the hull is actually 100mm. Does fall into that bracket. You do have the tracks there as well, and the extra sandbags. But again, you know, it's not bad for side scraping in a pinch, but you've got to get your angle right on it. Is there anywhere on the turret that's that? Oh, the turret ring as well. So that's another good place to go for, turret ring, which is, you know, obviously flat. It does have the left to right curve, but it is just flat, sort of top to bottom. 121 to 161 sides of the turret. Moving forwards, it gets a bit thicker, 161 to 191 for your turret cheeks. That's your 220, which is the rest of the front of the turret, and then you've got the gun mantle, which is 260mm. Nice thick gun mantle, so very, very bouncy turret. In fact, in my first match, which I think I'm going to show you, I think I bounced about 2,000 damage. And they were, you know, they were going for that machine gun cupola. It's just, you know, moving back up and forwards kept them missing. So there you go, I think that's about it. Oh, bonuses are the only last thing to mention. 50% silver bonus and a 15% XP bonus. So yeah, pretty standard sort of tier 8 stuff going back to. But all in all, I am impressed with this tank. I do like this. It's, you know, if you like your Russian TDs, you very well may like this one as well. With it being a turreted one, it is something very different. For the Russian TDs, if you do like that line. So yeah, it might be worth having a look at, but I'd probably wait for the base bundle. I mean, I was looking for premium time anyway, so it kind of made sense for me to get this one. But there we are. Let's get into the gameplay and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the first of the replays. I think both are tier 8 matches. I just didn't have anything particular. I mean, I suppose I probably should have shown you it in tier 9. I was bouncing a few shots from tier 9s actually off the turret. There was an M103 that was bouncing off my turret, and I can't think, there was something else as well, but I can't think what it was. But again, you know, you can't sit still. I was moving back and forwards, and I think if I'd have sat still, that would have hit and penned quite easily. Now this was, well, I was tried to get this up yesterday, but with the extended downtime for the update, I just didn't have enough time. I managed to get the footage and thought, well, I'll upload it this morning. When I went to do it this morning, I sort of looked at the footage, and apart from this one, I wasn't really happy with the other footage I got, so I just decided to do a couple more games in it and try and get it done, knock it out today. So I will be doing mercenary videos as well on all the mercenary tanks. Do some short videos on them, maybe, you know, do a couple in each video, maybe something like that, I don't know. But yeah, I will be having a look at the mercenary things and sort of giving you my opinions on those, and generally on the contracts and everything else that sort of go along with it. Just my sort of, you know, what my thoughts are really, and I'll do that. Well, that'll be starting tomorrow. Sorry if my voice sounded a bit odd in a couple of places in the garage part. I don't normally suffer with hay fever unless it is a particularly high pollen count that day, and the last couple of days here where we are, it's been a very high pollen count, and it's just given me a bit of a sort of scratchy throat. So I'm fine, you know, I've not got bad eyes, you know, puffy eyes or anything like itchy eyes, or particularly sneezing or anything else, but I've got a very scratchy throat from it. So it just keeps all of a sudden taking me by surprise. Now, I don't know if I said this is my first match in this, and decided to pop up here and just see what I could see, really. It's a fairly, well, it's a decent location anyway, to be honest. You can oversee most of the battlefield. You know, if things do spot you, you do have the chance of pulling back and just exposing your turret, which is what I want to do with this, because, well, the turret is the strongest part. As I said in the garage, the hull is pretty weak. But if this had a really strong hull as well, it'd be ridiculous. I mean, I'm not sure what's firing at me from over there, but that's bouncing off the side of my turret. And that hit did that hit my tracks? I think it did, yeah. I'm just trying to keep moving a little bit, try and throw the aim off. There we go, try and drop off radar, move across a little bit, hopefully stay out of the way of anything over on my left side. But definitely the first thing that I really noticed about this, apart from the immense size of the turret, was the mobility. And as I said before, it was surprisingly mobile for its size. I really did expect something big and sluggish. But yeah, it's not. Then again, I suppose they could have given it a really strong hull and just made it slower, like the T-28 prototype or something, and done it that way in game. But then again, then it wouldn't be sort of true to the T-100 hull. So there you go. But yeah, it's very nice top tier. That was badly aimed then. Now they're getting through. I think that was a heat, possibly. It did sound a bit like it. I could be wrong though. But those sandbags, you know, they're not gonna give you loads of protection. They're just there, and every now and again they'll just sort of eat up a round. Plus, it they also stop the higher tier stuff putting HE into the side of you or into the front. And again, you know, a lot of RT, nearly all RT, you know, just use HE. So if HE hits those sandbags on the front, there's a chance that could save you as well, because in theory the spaced armour should set the HE off first. You'll probably still take some damage from it, but at least it won't be a penning hit. Because I mean that frontal upper glacis, that's, if you can, you know, if you're an RT, you can get an RT shell onto that. It's very tempting because it is thin, and you're going to pen and probably do full damage. Same with the engine deck as well. And in fact, the top of the turret, it's just big. It's a big old RT target, and yeah, right on cue, RT tries to rain down on me. And yeah, my loader got taken out, as you saw before. That's what I did mention. It's worth having pain tolerance on it. Generally, I mean, there's 4 guys in that turret. What I tended to find, I don't know why it was always the loader. Possibly, I might, you know. Do I have 2 loaders? No. Hang on a minute. That's a bit odd. There were definitely 5 crew members in it when it was in the garage, but if you look at the actual indicators there, I was just having a look at my very small preview window, that looks like there's only 4 placements there. Commander, gunner, loader and driver. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure there were 5 crewmen in it anyway. But as I said before, yeah, it just seemed to be, if your turret did actually get penned, a crew member generally got knocked out, so pain tolerance would be recommended. I mean, even a premium first aid kit if you wanted. You could probably run that quite easily on this and not lose money. Oh, you lucky. And that's me done for that one, unfortunately. And it was so close. That guy just slammed his brakes on and my shell went right in front of him. And if it hadn't put his brakes on just that time, yeah, that could have been very different. But anyway, it was a defeat, unfortunately. 3,352 damage and just over 2,000 blocked. So yeah, quite happy with that for my first round in it. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna get on with this. And it's nice having that gun depression as well. There's a lot of Russian tanks that don't normally have gun depression quite as good as that. I mean, obviously there's American TDs and what have you with better gun depression than that, but that is quite nice on this tank. And as I said before, it does enable or help you to keep it hull down. So another tier 8 match for you on Kasserine. And as I sort of touched into in the garage, when this is top tier, you can play it quite aggressively, as long as you are careful with your hull. That's what you've got to be careful with. And I think in those situations, people who play the T-29, I'm thinking of more, because it can have a similar play style to this. Obviously, the T-29's hull isn't great. It can be pretty weak. The turret's very strong. And obviously, you can be quite aggressive in it. You've just got to watch your hull. And the thing that some people do, I mean, it doesn't make quite so much difference in this because it is a TD at the end of the day. But quite a few people with the sort of T-29, they'll have some, they'll either have certain hull down positions and go to on a map, and they'll go there and they'll stay there, and nothing will get rid of them. No matter what happens, like this is my spot. I'm defending my spot, whether people come here or not. And there's other people that sort of go on a map and the sort of first decent hold down location they find for it, they'll stick with it and stay there for most of the game instead of moving forwards. And the thing with the T-29 is you've got to keep pushing forwards and keep getting forwards. Ideally, I mean, with most tanks, hold down is the best position. Let's face it, it is. But yeah, with the T-29, you've got to keep pushing forwards. You've got to try and find hold down locations wherever you are, wherever on the front line is. If you can't, side scrape the damn thing or something. But don't just sort of don't find a hold down location wherever on the map and just put yourself there, regardless of where it is tactically. And it kind of doesn't matter so much with this, as I said, because it is a TD. But do try and put yourself in a hold down location that's going to at least be useful. I know that may sound daft. I know most of you are probably thinking, well, yeah, I would, but I'm sure we've all seen people out there that have just sat like, you're thinking, why are you sat over there? There's not been an enemy tank over there the entire match. There's not even been one within, like half a kilometre of that location for the entire match, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any going over there because they're all over here, sort of thing. But you still have somebody sat there. And yeah, it's just one of those things. I find that if I was going to get stressed at everybody that made a mistake, or everybody that played like an idiot or whatever on this game, then I'd just be stressed all the time. And what's the point, It happens. Sometimes you get idiots. Sometimes you get people that just make a mistake or they're not paying attention. Sometimes you get people that almost seem to be doing it on purpose. And just make really bad decisions, but you just work with what you've got, don't you? You just have to do your best and get on with it. It's, as I said, if you're going to get cross at it all the time and get angry, you're just going to spend your entire time angry on this game. Because it really isn't very often you get a team where somebody doesn't do something daft or makes a stupid mistake or something. I make stupid mistakes occasionally when I'm not paying attention properly, or or occasionally you get focused on an enemy a bit too much and don't quite pay attention to the map. It happens. But anyway, back to the match. Well, I was hoping that most of the enemy team were going to be on our side, and that it kind of does seem that a fair few of them might have been over at the other spawn point. And I've pushed up a little bit. I did take some damage from something over that way. I think it was a light tank earlier on in the match, before I decided to come down here, because we were getting capped out. Those guys, well, from what it looked like on the map, you know, obviously I took an educated guess at which way they were going to be facing, seeing that they seemed to be fighting some of our guys further down the canyon. Snuck up behind them, took out the Tiger P, and now the T-28 prototype is still obviously fighting with those guys up that way, and it allows me to get up behind him and just put some shots in. But in a tier 8 match, I do kind of feel quite confident in this. Even if I come up against something and I can't quite hide my hull, just a bit of wiggling or trying to side scrape, or even try, I know it sounds daft, try and get around it, because it is kind of more, you know, more mobile than some of the, I don't know if it's more mobile than some of the heavies up here, but it certainly feels it. Yeah, it's probably not as mobile, but you know, you can see it shifts along. I was a bit cautious first going into that gully, because I thought I'd seen another T-28 prototype coming down it from the left as I went into it. It kind of looked like possibly one of them was going down that gully from near the top left corner there. It turns out they weren't, and this is one of those matches where all of a sudden you realise, hang on a minute, there's only a couple of tanks left on the enemy team. So myself and a Panther decided to go on the hunt. And that is what I do like about this, is the fact that it is a TD that's got a little bit of meat behind it armour wise, albeit just on the turret. But the gun kind of performs, in a way it kind of feels similar to a heavy tank gun in a lot of ways. And I do like it because I can play it a bit like a heavy when the opportunity arises. And that's kind of why I like the T-30 as well, you know, the American, or one of the American tier 9s, is that, I mean, it's obviously a T-29 hull turret, just with a bloody great gun on it. But again, when you're top tier, when the situation arises, you know, when the opportunity's there, you can play it like a frontline heavy. Again, just watching your hull, hiding it, trying to get a hull down, or at least side scraping. But yeah, it can be quite an effective heavy tank. And I've actually asked, I think it'd be nice if you could actually have a choice of top guns on it. I think it's a 155 is a top gun, but you can also have a 120mm on it, which is the gun that you get on it stock. I think it is, or it's the first one. But yeah, it's the 122, and it's the one off the T-28 prototype. Is it 122? No, 120. Sorry, 120. I think off the T-28 prototype, and but it's got I think a better rate of fire on the T-30. But I'd kind of like that as a choice for a top gun on it, either the 150 or the 120. Everyone, you know, you're all probably just sat there thinking, "What are you on about? That'd be stupid." But you know, that's, yeah, I think it'd be good. I'm sure somebody out there will agree with me. Yeah, couldn't quite get up to that T-25. And the T-28, I don't know how I missed him, to be honest. I don't know. If he popped up on the map, then I was obviously focused on getting to the T-25 and just completely missed him. And I'm just trying to get down. Probably could have got a shot into the side of his turret there, but I'd rather make sure that I can get him. I was hoping to save the Panther, but I couldn't, unfortunately. It's just one of those things, and I really was expecting to take a hit from the T-28 there, but it looked like our T-28 prototype managed to take him down. I do like the new engine sounds, by the way. They do sound quite nice. There you go. A nice amount of silver earned. It's a decent silver earner. Just under 3,500 XP. Damage done, and an ace tanker on it as well, which is quite low for an ace tanker. What's that, about 1,300? Does seem low. But anyway, there you go. As I say, don't put too much stock into an ace on the day they come out. So, but yeah. Anyway, the Bizon T-103. I do like it. as I said, it's new for sort of the Russians because it's turreted TD, which they don't have any of those, so it is something a little bit different. But yeah, I do like it. I think it's a pretty decent tank. I do think it's nicely balanced, offensive and defensively, and kind of balanced within the game as well. I know some of you might be thinking it looks a bit OP, and there's a few tanks that are a bit OP, sort of in their own tier, but it is balanced out by that weaker hull and the fact you've got a very slow turret traverse as well. But yeah, like I said, I do like it. I do think it's a bit expensive personally. So if you were going to get it, I'd probably say wait for the base pack or maybe wait a few weeks. And I would assume that there'll be a plain version out, which will obviously have a smaller price tag. But yeah, I've actually bought that one first time for a long time. But anyway, there you go. Hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll be back with some mercenary videos over the rest of the week. So until then, take care of then. I'll catch you next time. See you later.